There is a town in Peru where you can be arrested just for walking toward it. There is a town in Chile where the government has offered to relocate everyone to somewhere better 3 times. And 3 times everyone said no. There is a town in Bolivia built inside a mountain that geologists say could collapse at any moment, and the miners go in anyway, every single morning. And there is a town in Brazil that Henry Ford built in the middle of the Amazon jungle, which the jungle is slowly, methodically eating. These are real places. People live in them right now. Not survivalists, not preppers. Ordinary people with children and neighbors, and arguments about the fence. Today, we are counting down the 10 weirdest and most isolated towns in South America. Some of them exist because of a mine, a war, a railway, or a road that had to end somewhere. Some of them exist for reasons that no map can explain. Every single one will make you look at the world differently. Let's start the countdown. Number 10, Puerto Williams, Chile, the southernmost town in the world. We open our list at the very bottom of the world. Puerto Williams sits on Navarino Island in Chilean Tierra del Fuego, and it holds the verified title of the southernmost town on Earth, with a permanent civilian population, beating out Ushuaia in Argentina, which is technically a city, not a town, by bureaucratic definition. Puerto Williams has around 2,800 residents. It is accessible only by plane, or by a 36-hour ferry ride from Puerto Montt. There are no roads connecting it to the rest of Chile. To the south, there is nothing except the Drake Passage, and then Antarctica. What makes it genuinely strange is the mix of people who live there. You have Chilean Navy personnel, because this is a strategic military outpost. You have fishermen and crab trappers. And you have the Yagan community, the last surviving members of one of the most ancient peoples in the Americas, who lived in these same freezing channels for over 10,000 years, wearing almost no clothing despite the brutal cold, paddling dugout canoes through waters that would kill most people in minutes. The Yagan are now fewer than a dozen pure-blooded individuals. The last fully fluent native speaker of the Yagan language, a woman named Cristina Calderon, passed away in 2022. She was 93. The language died with her. Puerto Williams is still there, at the bottom of the world, carrying that. Number 9. La Rinconada, Peru, the highest permanent settlement on Earth. From the bottom of the world to the top of it, La Rinconada in the southern Peruvian Andes sits at approximately 5,100 meters above sea level, roughly 16,700 feet. That is higher than Everest Base Camp. At this altitude, every breath delivers about half the oxygen you would get at sea level. It is also one of the most chaotic, miserable, and fascinating towns you will ever read about. La Rinconada exists entirely because of a gold mine, a glacier-covered deposit in the mountains above the town. The mine operates on a system called cachorreo, which is genuinely medieval. Miners work for a month without pay. Then on the last day, they are allowed to take as much ore as they can carry in their arms. Whatever gold is in that ore is theirs. If the rock you grabbed has almost nothing in it, you earned nothing. If you hit a good pocket, you could make months of wages in one afternoon. This gambling economy has drawn tens of thousands of people to a place with no sewage system, no running water, and roads that are sheets of ice for most of the year. The town floods with mercury used for ore processing. Tuberculosis rates are extremely high due to the altitude, the cold, and the crowding. People come anyway because the alternative, a life of poverty at lower altitude, feels worse to them than this frozen lottery at the top of the world. La Rinconada is a monument to human desperation and human hope, occupying the exact same frozen address. Number 8. Fordlândia, Brazil, Henry Ford's doomed jungle utopia. This one belongs on this list because of what it is. An American industrial city dropped into the middle of the Amazon rainforest in 1928 and left to slowly be consumed by it. Henry Ford wanted rubber. He was paying a fortune to the British rubber cartel and decided he would simply grow his own. He bought a Connecticut-sized chunk of the Amazon in the Brazilian state of Pará, investing approximately $20 million, close to $350 million in today's money, and began building not just a plantation, a full American town, grid streets, clapboard houses with American-style pitched roofs, completely unsuited to tropical heat, a hospital, a school, a golf course, a Ford-approved cafeteria where workers were served American food, hamburgers, canned peaches, brown rice, that they absolutely did not want. Ford banned alcohol and tobacco inside the concession. Workers who wanted to drink had to cross to a nearby island the locals called the Island of Innocence, which was neither innocent nor an island exactly. At peak, over 5,000 people lived in Fordlândia. It ran from 1928 to 1945. The rubber trees failed catastrophically, planted in dense American-style rows. Instead of the naturally dispersed pattern of wild jungle, they were destroyed by Microcyclus ule, a leaf blight fungus that in a natural rainforest would never have reached epidemic proportions. Ford's agronomists had not consulted a single Brazilian botanist before planting. Fordlândia never produced one commercially viable kilogram of rubber. Today, roughly 1,000 people live among the crumbling infrastructure. Ford's water tower still stands. The hospital is a ruin. Capybaras wander through the remains of the machinery. It is one of the most extraordinary monuments to overconfidence in human history, and you can actually visit it. Number 7. Villa Baviera, Chile, formerly Colonia Dignidad, the German colony that became a secret prison. This one is deeply dark, so we are not going to soften it. In 1961, a German lay preacher named Paul Schaefer led a group of followers from West Germany to a remote valley in the Chilean Andes, about 350 kilometers south of Santiago. They called it Colonia Dignidad, Colony of Dignity. It was a farming commune, self-sufficient, secretive, and completely sealed off from the outside world. What happened inside was systematically horrific. Schaefer was a sadistic predator who sexually abused children in the colony for decades. Members were subjected to psychological control and physical punishment, and had almost no contact with the outside world. Some who tried to flee were caught and returned. It got worse. During the Pinochet dictatorship after 1973, the regime used the colony's remote location as a torture and detention site. Political prisoners were brought there and were never seen again. The German government, embarrassed by its citizens' involvement, largely looked the other way for years. Schaefer eventually fled to Argentina, was captured, and died in a Chilean prison in 2010. The colony was renamed Villa Baviera and is now, incomprehensibly but factually, a tourist destination. There is a restaurant serving German food. There is a hotel. About 100 of Schaefer's former followers still live there. It is the strangest, most disturbing kind of isolation, a community that still exists, serving schnitzel on ground that was a crime scene. Number 6. Manu Biosphere Reserve, Peru. There are towns here that it is illegal for you to visit. Right now, at this exact moment, there are people living in towns that you are not allowed to approach. Not because of a fence, or a guard, or a wall. Because of a law that exists to protect them from you. The Manu Biosphere Reserve in southeastern Peru is frequently cited by scientists as the single most biodiverse place on the planet. More bird species than all of North America. More plant species than all of Europe. It is also home to dozens of indigenous communities who have chosen complete isolation from the outside world. They are called pueblos en aislamiento voluntario, people's involuntary isolation, and Peruvian law makes it a criminal offense to make contact with them. So there are human settlements on this planet with real people inside them that are legally off limits to the rest of humanity. Their residents have never used a mobile phone. They may not know the internet exists, and crucially, they know outsiders exist because some of these communities made the deliberate choice to disengage from contact decades ago. This is not ignorance, it is rejection. The small gateway settlement of Boca Manu at the reserve's edge is the last checkpoint before you hit the invisible line. Beyond it, going farther means breaking Peruvian law. Somewhere in the jungle past that line, in towns that appear on no map you can find, people are going about their day completely unbothered by the fact that the rest of the world is on the other side of a legal boundary, wondering what they are doing. That might be the weirdest thing on this entire list. Number 5. Puerto, Chile, the town that keeps saying no to a better life. Imagine the government of your country showing up and saying, "We will give you a real house in a real city, with schools, hospitals, running water, and a road that actually goes somewhere. All you have to do is leave." And you say, "No thank you." That is Puerto, 120 people. Chilean fjords. No road in or out. No electricity grid. Diesel generators that rattle through the night. rain around 200 days a year. The only way in is the weekly ferry that tourist cruise passengers take to enjoy the scenery. The residents are not the scenery, they live there. The Coescar people, one of Patagonia's ancient canoe cultures, have their last remaining community here. The Chilean government has made the offer of relocation multiple times. Modern housing in Puerto Natales, proper medical care, a school that doesn't require a ferry to reach. The elders have said no every time, and the reason they give is not sentimental. Their connection to the fjords is not just cultural, it is ontological. The fjords are not where they live. The fjords are who they are. Moving to Puerto Natales would not be upgrading their address. It would be ending their existence as Coescar. The weirdness here is not the isolation, it is the choice. In a world where everyone is trying to get somewhere better, Puerto Edén is the place that looked at somewhere better and said, "We've seen it. We'll stay." Number 4. Cerro Rico, Bolivia. The mountain that ate 8 million people. Potosí is not a small town. It is a city of over 200,000 people. But the mining communities living inside and around Cerro Rico, the mountain above it, deserve their own entry. Cerro Rico means rich hill, and it has been one of the defining locations of modern history. When the Spanish discovered silver here in the 16th century, they effectively found the treasury that funded the entire Spanish Empire for 2 centuries. The silver from Cerro Rico paid for wars, built cathedrals, and reshaped the global economy. The cost was 8 million lives. That is the estimated number of enslaved indigenous people and African slaves who died in the mines. The mountain consumed human beings the way a furnace consumes coal. Today, Cerro Rico is still being mined. Cooperatives of miners, mostly Quechua men, work the same tunnels by hand and by dynamite, breathing silica dust that will kill most of them from silicosis before they reach 50. The mountain is so hollowed out that it is physically collapsing. Parts of the summit have already sunk. Geologists have warned that certain sections could cave in catastrophically. The miners know this. They still go in every morning because there is work and because this is what their fathers did, and their fathers before them for 500 years. Inside the tunnels, they leave offerings of cigarettes, coca leaves, and alcohol for El Tío, uncle, a horned devil figure who is said to own everything underground. Outside, they are Catholics. Inside the mountain, they worship something older. Number 3. The Amazon Tri-Border Zone, Leticia, Tabatinga, and Santa Rosa. At the point where Brazil, Colombia, and Peru meet on the Amazon River, 3 towns face each other across water: Leticia in Colombia, Tabatinga in Brazil, and Santa Rosa in Peru. Together, they form one of the most surreal municipal zones in the world. You can walk from one country to another, Colombia to Brazil, without a border control. The same street changes nationality. The same building might technically be in 2 countries. You need a passport to get from Tabatinga to Santa Rosa, but not from Tabatinga to Leticia, even though you have crossed an international border. The residents move freely between all 3, shopping where prices are better, drinking where regulations are looser, going to whichever clinic has shorter lines that day. The 3 towns share one informal economy and 3 different legal systems. Drug laws differ, alcohol regulations differ, what counts as contraband differs, and all of it floats in the middle of the Amazon jungle, with no roads connecting any of these towns to their respective capitals. Leticia is 1,000 kilometers from Bogota, reachable by air or river only. These are cities of tens of thousands of people existing in a legal and geographic borderland, running on the logic of the Amazon rather than the logic of any nation-state. Number 2. Madre de Dios, Peru, the world's largest illegal gold operation. The second spot goes to the illegal gold mining camps of Madre de Dios in the Peruvian Amazon, the largest illegal gold mining operation in the world, and one of the most isolated and lawless human environments currently active on Earth. The Madre de Dios region has been described by the UN as a zone of modern slavery. Informal mining camps appear and disappear in the jungle, reachable only by small plane or by river. Workers are recruited from poor highland communities with promises of good wages, then find themselves in debt bondage, charged for transport, food, tools, and housing at prices that make it impossible to ever pay off what they owe and leave. Mercury contamination has made the rivers toxic. Satellite images show moonscapes carved out of ancient jungle. The Peruvian government has conducted raids, but the camps move. The scale is simply too large, and the jungle too deep. And yet, people live there, permanently or near permanently, in camps with generators, satellite dishes, and cantinas. Children grow up there. It is not a place that exists on any tourist map or in any guidebook, but it is a real community, ugly, violent, ecologically catastrophic, carved out of the Amazon in real time. The isolation here is not romantic, it is a trap. Number 1. Iñapari, Peru, the town at the end of the road. Our number 1 most isolated and weirdest town in South America is Iñapari, Peru. Population approximately 2,500, sitting at the extreme northeastern corner of Madre de Dios, on the border with Bolivia and Brazil. Iñapari is the Peruvian terminus of the Interoceanic Highway, one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects in South American history. A 5,000-kilometer paved road connecting the Pacific coast of Peru to the Atlantic coast of Brazil. When it was completed in 2011, it represented a massive bet that connecting the Amazon interior to both coasts would transform the region's economy. And in Iñapari, you can see the highway end, literally end. There is a bridge over the Acre River to Brazil, and on the Peruvian side, the road simply stops. The town is surrounded on 3 sides by dense Amazon jungle. There are no other roads. There is no train. There is a small airstrip. What makes Iñapari extraordinary is the gap between what it was supposed to become and what it is. The highway was supposed to bring trade, tourism, investment. Instead, the town has become primarily a crossing point for migrants, Haitians, Cubans, Africans, and Venezuelans making their way overland toward better lives in Peru's cities or beyond. The infrastructure that was meant to bring commerce brought people in transit instead, people who are themselves in a kind of limbo. There is a bridge to the future and a jungle at your back. And in between, a small Peruvian town that exists, because a road had to end somewhere, watching the world pass through on its way to somewhere else. That is our number 1. South America is a continent of extremes, and these 10 towns are proof that human beings will plant a flag in the most improbable places and call it home. At the top of glaciers, at the bottom of the world, in jungle clearings, in mountains that are literally collapsing, on borders that exist only on paper. Some of these places are beautiful, some are tragic, some are both at the same time, but all of them tell you something that maps cannot. That geography shapes people, but people also shape geography in ways that are sometimes magnificent and sometimes devastating, and always, in the end, human. If this video made you curious about any of these places, the comments are open. Which one surprised you most? Which one do you want to see a full video on? Tell us below. And if you have not subscribed yet, this is the kind of content we make. Real places, real stories, no filler. Hit subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.